Hello, in today's video I'm going to be taking you through this pumpkin peel away Halloween makeup look. So if you want to see how I achieved this, then just keep on watching. So this is my inspiration that I'm just showing at the moment. Now I'm starting out with a white pencil and I'm just sketching where I'm going to be putting my scar wax. I'm going to be using a cosmetic spatula to manipulate this scar wax. I'm using Prozade body glue to apply the scar wax. So we're using Ben 9 body and face scar wax? Scar wax? Can't English. So I'm applying my glue to the disposable sponge. These things come in so handy because it's got like nice little wedges on it. It's also got a nice flat big space for like applying paints and such, but I'm just using it to apply the glue. I'm going to go in with the hairdryer now and give that a blast until it starts to become tacky. If you notice some weird faces, it's just because it's not nice having the hot air blown in my eyes. I have really dry eyes, so it kind of stings. So I've got a piece of scar wax here that I've rolled into a sausage shape, like a worm kind of shape, and I've just applied that onto the glue, and then I've given it a blast with the hairdryer, and now I'm just pressing it down, and now I'm grabbing some Vaseline and I'm just rubbing that on top of the scar wax, and what this does is like helps it kind of like melt almost. And now with the pointy side of the spatula I'm just smoothing that down to create this sort of like blend into my skin. And then I'm going to leave a lip on the other side so it looks like open, if that makes sense.
Perfect.
I'm just making sure that inside part is still like open. So I'm just scraping away the excess of the scar wax, and then I'm going back in with some more Vaseline and I'm just continuing to like smooth it out with my finger. I'm grabbing some more scar wax and rolling it in my hands to create a worm shape, sizing that up, and now I'm applying some more glue. Now I'm giving that a blast with the hairdryer until it's tacky.
Considering the lockdown.
What?
Considering the lockdown, maybe get announced on Monday. Apparently.
Considering another lock.
Yeah.
Scared the life out of me. So now I'm sticking that piece of scar wax on now that the glue has gone tacky. And now just giving it a blast with the hairdryer. Same again, I'm just grabbing some Vaseline on my finger and rubbing that into the scar wax, and then using the tool to smooth it out into the skin so it blends together nicely. I'm just applying some more glue onto here because it's not stuck down properly, and then I'll blast that with the hairdryer. When smoothing the scar wax down into the skin, you want to do like little bits at a time, just very lightly scraping it and pulling it down against the skin. As you can see, I'm having a little bit of trouble with this part because it's a lot thinner of a worm shape than the rest of it, But yeah, just very patiently, like little bits at a time, keep applying Vaseline. So we're using some liquid latex, and what I'm doing with that is applying it just on top of that scar wax to keep it in place. Just because it's a big chunk now and your face is always moving, I just want that to set nicely in place before I do the rest. Again, just drying that until it sets. I'm just making sure this inside part remains lifted away from the skin. And now another layer of the liquid latex. I'm just going to keep applying that until I'm happy with the way it's sticking to my face. This is just going to help everything stay in place because obviously we've got a lot of makeup to put on top of it as well now, so we want it to be stuck down. And now blow dry it again. I mean, by now you should get it. I've got to dry down the latex and the glue. Make sure they're set. I'm just using my tool to make sure the inside part remains lifted again and smoothing down some imperfections with the Vaseline. I'm grabbing some more scar wax and rolling that into a worm shape. I'm checking the size of that on my face and then rolling it further to make it a little bit longer. There we are, perfect. And now applying some glue to the lining on my face, and then we're ready to blow dry and stick that piece down.
Daddy, if you could only see how good it's been treating me.
Joseph? Joey? Joey! Joey! Can you not hear me? So I'm sticking that piece down and then giving it another blast with the blow dryer.
Perfect.
And now smoothing over the scar wax again with some Vaseline, and then using my little tool to press that down into the skin just on the outside, keeping the inside slightly lifted, if that makes sense. Now I'm just going over all of that with some liquid latex and then drying it off. Now that we've done that first section, I'm going to speed up the rest of it because I've already showed you what to do.
The knife?
You have done so fucking good.
Oh.
That's fantastic. Show
What?
it to the camera, quick, before it dies. So I'm just dipping into some Ben 9 translucent powder and patting that all over the scar wax. This is going to help that completely stick in place. I'm trying out this new primer. It's called Ellen Mask. I don't even know how to pronounce it, but it's the Hydra Veil Primer. It was very quite hydrating actually. I quite enjoyed using it. To fill in my brows, I'm using my Anastasia brow pomade in the shade Chocolate. I'm just brushing my brows up with a spoolie, then taking that on a flat brush and just filling in my brows. I'm also using this little precise detail brush just to get into those sparse areas. I'm using the P. Louise base in the shade 2. I'm just taking that on a flat concealer brush and cleaning it up under the brows. I'm just using a fluffy brush with no product on it just to pat that concealer in until it sets. We're using the James Charles palette today, and I'm just dipping into this orange shade at the top. I'm taking that on a Morphe M506 and just whacking that on the eyelid. I'm just reapplying that until I'm happy with its pigment, keeping that just above the crease. Oh, I'm also using the Jacqueline Hill palette. So I'm dipping into this yellow shade here, which is barely there because I use it religiously. It's such a good shade. I'm just applying that to the edges of my shadows on a Morphe M506 to bring things together and smooth out the edge. Now I'm dipping into this red shade on a Morphe M507 and I'm just applying that directly into the crease and reapplying the shade until I'm happy with its pigment. And now back into the orange, just blending over those shades. And now the yellow to blend those edges. Back into red. And now to add that extra bit of depth, I'm dipping into this plum shade on a bullet brush and I'm just whacking that right in the crease, like very precisely in there, and just blending that from the inner corner to the outer corner. Then blending the red back over the top. Blending the orange over the top. And now the yellow on the edges. I would have stayed at home, 'cause I was alone. I'm just further deepening the crease again with that plum shade. And now we're ready to cut the crease. So I'm using the P. Louise base in the shade 2. I'm taking it on a flat concealer brush and I'm very carefully marking out my cut crease. I'm dipping into this lovely foil shade and applying that to my lid. Now I'm dipping into the plum shade and very gently applying that to the edges of that lid colour, just swooping lightly in towards that till it's blended nicely. Now lightly blending over with the red, orange, and yellow. I'm using some Zuva, whatever it's called, Beauty UV paint in the shade orange, and I'm applying that on the lining of my cut crease. Just very carefully and slowly doing that with a detailed brush. For foundation, I'm using the Estee Lauder Double Wear in the shade Ecru. I'm applying the foundation to the parts of my face where I won't be doing the pumpkin makeup.
You've done that so well. I'm actually so proud of you. You're always like, oh, I've not got any talent. That's really hard to do.
The green one was
Joey,
hard.
mine would have been pure shite.
The green was.
Yeah, because that's very.
It was really tough.
Yeah.
And it was freehand. I couldn't really see where to cut it, so I had to like just kind of put the knife on it.
I can't believe you've just done that.
I'm just blending that foundation in with a damp beauty blender. This just makes the foundation look very airbrushed. I'm just using this concealer brush to apply some foundation around the eyebrows. And just blending over the top again with that damp beauty sponge. And now repeating that on my bottom section. I'm now using some Ben 9 translucent powder to set the foundation in place. I'm applying some Hula Light bronzer to my forehead and just under my cheekbone to contour and bronze my face. To add depth to the contour, I'm going in with some original Hula bronzer and just touching the high points of the bronzer. With no added product to the brush, I'm just lightly dusting over the top of that. I'm now dipping into the Juvia's Place Saharan Blush Volume 2 palette and I'm just applying those two shades onto the one side where you can see my cheek. To sharpen the contour, I'm going in with a flat brush and some translucent powder. I'm just patting that directly under the contour. On a bullet brush, I'm taking the plum shade and applying that directly under my waterline. And now the red shade, I'm just blending that slightly under the first shade. And now the orange. Now last, yellow. I'm curling my lashes to prepare for mascara. I'm using some Ofra All of the Lights highlighter in my inner corner and under my brow. I'm also applying that to my cheekbone and just above my brow. I'm using some Anastasia Clear Brow Gel to set my brow in place. I'm now applying some Ico London Sport Waterproof Mascara to my lashes. With my white eyeliner pencil, I'm just marking out my pumpkin features. Now to start the face paint, and I'm using this blue squid painting palette. It's actually really good. I'm dipping into some water and then the orange shade and applying that around the eye area and around the mouth area. Oh, also around the nose.
Perfect.
On a flat detail brush, I'm dipping into this brown shade and just making some line marks to make the creases on the pumpkin. To deepen the creases, I'm dipping into this dark brown shade and applying that on the sides. I've lost some footage, but what I've done is added some white lines on the other side just to create some highlights on the pumpkin creases. I'm now using some black to fill in the outline of my pumpkin makeup. I'm just applying some white directly on top of that black, but sort of like away from it as well. I'm just mixing those together to create like a kind of shadow effect. I'm now applying the black under my scar wax. This is just creating some depth for where I'm about to apply the blood. I'm now lightly applying some white paint just underneath that black, and then I'm going to blend it in and just create that shadow effect like I did with the rest of the look. With the black paint, I'm painting my pumpkin mouth. I'm painting the pumpkin eye black now. And now my pumpkin nose. Now I'm using some white eyeshadow to sharpen up the edges.
Perfect.
With some brown eyeshadow, I'm just adding some more sort of like shadowing. I'm going back in with some white eyeshadow and I'm just filling in underneath the shadow effect I've created. I'm now adding a tiny bit of black and then just blending that out to add further contrast and shadowing to the look.
Perfect.
I'm now using some Ben Nye Scab Blood. This stuff is amazing. So I'm just dipping into that and applying that under and slightly out of my lifted scar wax. And this is just going to make it look like an open wound, like the flesh has actually been torn open there. So I'm also applying random patches of that slightly onto the top of the scar wax. So I'm just dipping into this plum eyeshadow shade and I'm just adding some like shadow onto that scar wax to create a sort of, what am I trying to say, like a bruised like effect on the skin.
Perfect.
Now I'm grabbing some Ben Nye Thick Blood and I'm just using a stippling sponge and I'm dabbing around that area just so it creates sort of like splattered blood. And here we are. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!